Stress, 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 stress. That was a horrible final 15, 10 minutes or so. Just, I hate that so much. But do you know what? I'm so proud of this team. No Rice, no Erdegaard, no Marino as well, although he's a new signing and maybe might take a few games to really get gelling with the team. But no problem. We did the job. We went to Tottenham. We didn't exactly play well, but we were solid. We defended very, very well. And again, Saliba, Gabriel, Raya, huge performances from everyone defensively. It definitely wasn't a good game. It was actually, I think, very poor from us going forward. We barely created anything. And when we did create something, we were very wasteful. But of course, it just takes that one moment. A beautifully delivered corner from Saka, who makes it 4 assists in 4 starts, or, 4 games at the start of the season, which is amazing. And that's 3 wins now in a row at Tottenham. We've never done that before. And that's quite difficult to do in any rivalry, any derby. I'd actually like to know in some of the other derbies, like the Manchester derby, Everton, Liverpool, Merseyside, is there an occasion when they've done 3, 4, 5 wins in a row against them away from home? I'm sure it is the case and they have done it, but Arsenal and Tottenham have been, pretty close. For over a decade now, it's been one team's better than the other, but only by a little bit. It's kind of been doing this. But we are definitely 100% seeing Arsenal rise again, just like it was 15, 20 years ago. But anyway, I want to start off by talking about Tottenham. Because, fair play to them. I would argue that they were actually probably the better team today. I wouldn't say they deserved to win because of it, because they were wasteful as well. They had a good few chances and they dominated the play. But I would say they probably didn't deserve to lose. And this is coming from an Arsenal fan. I don't know why we don't have the match ratings. Let me give this a little refresh. There we go. We can see the ratings now. So where is it going wrong for Tottenham at the moment? I do look at their midfield and I think Bentancur, whilst he's a high-level player, he can be very good, very effective. He isn't, for me, kind of an overall midfield player. I actually don't think defensively he's as strong as he could be. So when you partner him with Kulusevski, who is typically a winger, but I get it, he's got the physical presence. He could probably play as a central midfielder. And Maddison to the other side, you could tell that Bentancur was struggling, and this was without Rice, without Erdegaard. I truly believe that it would have been a completely different game with those two. It would have been. We had no legs in our midfield, so quite similar to Tottenham. It felt like we were cancelling each other out. Our midfield wasn't great. Their midfield wasn't great. But the amount of times that Van der Ven was bailing them out defensively when we were getting in behind, he's like Theo Walcott, okay? And I mean this somewhat respectfully. Sorry, Van der Ven, but without pace, I would be concerned about him a little bit. He's a bit, I don't know. I think he's a good defender, but he's only one of the best defenders, or, one of Tottenham's best defenders because of that pace. It's actually frightening. Is he the fastest player in the Tottenham side? I think he might be. How rare is it that a centre-back is their quickest player? Just without that pace, I think he would have really struggled today with Saka, Trossard, Martinelli all getting in behind, and even Havertz at times, who isn't the quickest. Romero next to him, I like Romero. I think he's a really good player. He's a bit crazy. And I just think that's the downfall, at least today, and most days, I would say, when I watch Tottenham. It's the midfield battle. They seem to struggle unless they've got everyone fully fit, and they're awful at set pieces. The goal that we scored, Gabriel literally just completely unmarked in the middle of the box, and that is just suicidal. It really is. But going forward, I thought Tottenham looked a little bit off. I just don't think Solanke is quite there yet. Obviously hasn't scored yet. Maybe that will give him a big boost. Well, it will. It will definitely give him a big boost, and I'm sure he will score goals this season. But other than his battling with Saliba, where I think a couple of times he actually beat Saliba, he actually managed to outmuscle him, outmaneuver him. But realistically, didn't look like scoring. He had a close header, and he had that one-on-one almost, which I think Saliba, it was, actually closed him down. Johnson didn't do anything. I thought Son was relatively quiet. But as an overall team, I mean, we can look at the stats. They were definitely the more dominant team. They were the home team, and you could tell, but they just didn't do enough with it. Let's talk about Arsenal, shall we? Because that's why we're all here. Is this the lineup that I mean, it's probably the best lineup that we could have put out today. It's just, I'm not too keen on the Partey Jorginho thing, but we had to. We literally had to. Jorginho, whilst he's got the brain, he doesn't have the legs whatsoever. He might be one of the slowest players I've ever seen in our midfield. And we've had some slow midfielders in the past. I mean, I'm talking like Granit Xhaka. It was a snail at times, wasn't he? But Jorginho is slower. Luckily, we didn't get punished. There's a few times he lost the ball in midfield. And it's the same thing with Partey. Luckily for Partey, he has a leap. There's something about him. He is quite athletic. He's not the quickest, but the way he's so smart with the way he turns and the way he picks out the passes, he always seems to kind of like flick the ball around players instead of going through them. He's very good at that. And I think Partey gets away with it when he's got someone like a Declan Rice. Jorginho, not so much. And when you partner those two together, my God, it was worrying at times because we quite literally had no legs in midfield. I mean, Havertz, who started as the number 9 today, he was dropping a little bit into midfield, and we did have Trossard there, and Timber was moving in, and it worked enough. It got the job done. But I'm adamant. If Rice was in there today, if Martin Ødegaard was in there today, it would have been similar to last year. I think we would have seen a 2-3-0 lead going in at half-time potentially, because I don't think Tottenham would have been able to do anything about it. So I think this is the best way to summarise today's game. It was a Tottenham side that are still a project under Ange, with a couple of missing players, not many players fully fit, including Solanke. You can tell he's not quite ready yet. So slightly disjointed, and let's face it, lacking a bit of confidence because they haven't done so well. That's 4 points in 4 games. Against an Arsenal team that are in great form but depleted, plenty of injuries and suspensions, and we have a very small squad. It is going to be the downfall. Look, I don't want to be negative. I don't want to sit here and say we're not going to win the league, but if we don't win the league, it will come down to the fact we don't have a big enough squad, or at least we don't have enough quality in depth. We've lost quite a few players this window, this summer. The players like Nketiah and Nelson, and of course Fabio Vieira's gone out on loan. And whilst we've brought in a few players, when you look at the bench today, I mean, we're throwing on Nwaneri, who looked pretty good actually, but look at the bench. Neto, Heaven, Kivior, Kukuri. I haven't seen anything of this guy. Never heard of Kabia, if I'm being completely honest. And then Lewis Skelly. I'm not sure why Zinchenko was left out today. I haven't heard anything about an injury, so maybe that's just brand new. Calf injury out till October, apparently. Calafiori obviously picked up a knock on international duty. Tierney doesn't exist anymore. Tomiyasu's always injured. Rice was suspended. And then, of course, Ødegaard and Marino both injured. It's just such a thin squad. And I'm so glad that we got Sterling in, because I would be really worried if Saka isn't fit, if Martinelli's still not playing well, we've literally got nothing. Nothing. Which is, of course, a little bit terrifying. I was really, really happy to see Sterling come on. I kind of hoped he'd start today. And whilst he didn't do anything incredible in his 10 minutes, 15 minutes, it just looked right. Seeing him put the Arsenal shirt on, walking onto the pitch, I don't know, it just felt right. And those of you who know me, I've been a big fan of Sterling since he broke through going to Liverpool. And I always imagined he would play for Arsenal in, I think, 1 or 2 career modes with Arsenal. I have signed him. I love the guy, and he's here on loan, and Chelsea are paying him more than we are, so that's obviously something that's going to continue to make me happy throughout the season. And I do believe he will displace Martinelli. If Trossard isn't playing on that left side, if Martinelli continues, I mean, again, just wasn't offering enough today. He had a good few moments, but there were, honestly, the shot he had, I just wish he took it a bit closer. Because if he scores there, he literally will go on to have a different season. I just think he's really struggling at the moment, and I do believe Sterling will offer more. I don't know, it's tough. For me, Trossard will start on the left next time. As soon as we get everyone back fully fit, I think Trossard should be on that left side. As simple as that, really. But what a win, guys. Absolutely massive. In a weekend where City obviously still got the win. I just wish Brentford could have found another goal. That would have been great. Obviously, Liverpool dropped points. They lost. it's vital that we either match what City are doing or obviously try and beat them to it. And or better them, I mean. And because of the Liverpool loss, that means we are in second place. That draw is obviously so frustrating against Brighton, especially with the suspension to Rice. But ultimately, the damage is done, and at least we've bounced back, and it's the big one next weekend. City, it is away, right? I believe it's at the Etihad, so it's a really, really tough game. Before you know it, it's the Champions League games being thrown at us, the likes of PSG, and we're going to go through a really difficult period. And I honestly, truly believe we can go to the Etihad and do what we did today. It doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be this perfect plan of attacking football and outscore them. Just turn up at the Etihad, put in a solid defensive performance, and like today, a bit of magic, a little bit of quality is all that it might take to win that game. I believe if there's any team that can stop Man City, any team that can stop Haaland, it's Arsenal. And I think Saliba and Gabriel will be key again. It's an absolute travesty, that Gabriel rating on FC25. If you missed my video yesterday going through the Arsenal ratings, honestly, on days like today, watching Gabriel put in a performance like that, we know how good Saliba is. We know how good Gabriel is, but a lot of people seem to put Saliba ahead of him. And honestly, on days like today, you can really see there isn't much between them. On a good day, both of them are absolutely world class. They are the best centre-back partnership, in my opinion, potentially in the world right now. I would probably say Rudiger and Militao for Madrid are obviously up there, and on their day, Van Dijk, Konate. But Saliba and I mean, put it this way, any team in the world, if they're offered a chance to have Saliba and Gabriel and swap them in for their centre-backs, I think 99.9% of world football would say yes, because they're still young enough. Saliba's pretty young. Gabriel's 26 now, I think. They've still got their peak ahead of them, which I think is an exciting thing. Very exciting thing. We've struck gold with those two. We really have. But there is the Premier League table. At the bottom, we've got Everton, Southampton and Wolves. And at the top, we've got City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Villa and Brighton, who weren't able to win yesterday. That's also good for us. It's already looking to shape up a little bit. Just 4 weeks in. So excited for that City game, but also incredibly nervous. But I'll be back with Operation Arsenal. And just a quick update on FC25 career mode. I'm not sure when I'm getting the game, but I have a feeling episode 1 of the Arsenal career mode might be out before that City game. So watch out, make sure you're subscribed, and I will see you in the next video.